Hey again, everyone. Thank you for joining me. And as I promised, I have Connor on the line this evening. And Connor and I are going to discuss some of these flowcharts that he's made. Excellent, excellent stuff. It's well beyond what I could have articulated. I've said that a couple of times. It's really excellent stuff. If you have not been influenced by a narcissist and you want to know what it's like, I think that this is spelled out so completely that even someone that hasn't been affected by one could understand or possibly understand what it's like anyway. But most of us, 99% of us that visit these issues and channels have had some unfortunate dealings with narcissist, one or many in my case, and now as things become progressively better, we expand our community and we run into each other and we run into people like Connor. Connor, how you doing?
Oh, thanks, dear. Yeah, I'm doing real good, real good. So, yeah, let's get started. I'm ready to go. So, if you want to open up the images on your side as well, we'll just kind of go over through them one by one.
Why don't we start with? It looks like you have four. Looks like four with the mask. That looks like a a good place to start. My God, talk, boy. Okay, mask circuit one. Let's see what this is. Okay, tell us about that, Connor. What's going on here?
You bet. So, something that's really important is in the art of war. It's know your enemy or know thy enemy, and
Sun Tzu, yes.
yeah, and with that, this comes down to something called the mask of perfection. These these ego paths, whatever you want to call them, they have a very specific identity. They all have the same perfect identity. They all believe that they're this perfect being on this earth. And the problem with that is it's a delusional belief. It's so far out there. It's so disconnected from reality. And the thing is, I needed to look at that and I needed to find out what did that mean? Like what really is their identity? Because it's a little more than just I'm perfect because I'm perfect. It's a little more than that.
Okay, okay, I'm with you so far.
Yep. And so right here, this first picture here is showing the mask of perfection, a bare bones and skeleton version with all the meat so that you can just quickly look at it. So you have the false self, you have a false narrative, you also have a thing called ego supply or ego fuel. Also, you could call it, narcissistic supply, narcissistic fuel. I just substituted the word ego there.
Okay, okay.
You also
This is
have,
what you're building on. This diagram that we're looking at is going to get a little more complicated, but those ideas and issues stay in the diagram. Is that right?
oh yes, yes. This is a very brief like summary so that you can get the picture in your head. And then from there, when I start explaining in detail, you're going to start seeing how it all meshes together.
Okay. All right.
And so then underneath the ego supply, you have irrational thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something that it's all in common. It's very, very common to say, you know what, these people never grew up. They never grew up. They've stayed kids their entire lives, these spoiled bullies. And with this irrational thought process, a big part of that is projection, where they do something bad and then they say, no, you did something bad. That's what this projection is. So if they cheat on you, then they accuse you of cheating on them. It's
Mm-hmm.
very distorted. Like, it's basically, if they can't deny the fact, they have to distort the fact and figure out who's to blame.
Right. Right. I have experienced that too.
Yeah. Oh, how wonderful. So,
What
yeah,
are you
but I mean,
talking
yeah,
about? All you have to do is whatever they're accusing you of, you can just rest assured that that is what they're doing themselves.
yeah, or wanting to do, or heard that, like, it's always up there. Like,
Intention is everything, Connor. Intention is
yeah,
everything. All right. So you've got irrational thought process and projection. Okay.
Yeah, and then underneath that, what you have is you have the compatible false narrative information. And what that means is this all kind of it kind of works in a like a little circuit. This is actually kind of like how their mind works. They're closed minded. And so what happens here is with compatible false narrative information that they can get internally from their own false narrative, but they also need other people to tell them how great and magnificent they are.
They cherry pick data and info.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's
so and so all of that compatible false narrative information goes through their rational thought process, and that's the cherry picking part, and then the good stuff gets to become ego supply. That's how it sort of works in a circuit. So we'll move on to the next picture.
okay. Let me pull it up. And let me cross out of this one. Okay. The mask circuit, I guess you have it labeled here, mask circuit 2.
Perfect. Yeah. And so for this one here, you'll notice that there's like a little light bulb now for the mask of perfection.
I see.
So to really make it work, if any of you guys or girls are familiar with series circuits in regarding like electricity, in a series circuit, if there's any break in the connection, the whole thing doesn't work.
Right.
So basically what I'm showing here is this is a circular chain of logic. This is how their mask of perfection works. This is how their identity works. And it's very fragile. You take away any little piece out of their identity and their entire identity falls apart.
God, that's why they feel attacked. And you know they do, by the way. Every time that you try to undistort something or give them something in in clear terms, it ruins this circuit. Beautiful.
Yeah, and the thing is, sorry. The thing is, they have such a massive ego. That's the problem. If they had a small, tiny ego, it would be difficult because to cause them injury. They have such a massive ego and it's very fragile. If it was small and fragile, it'd be easy to miss. But they have a massive ego, and so it's not easy to miss at all. You literally existing for too long in their sight can cause them injury because maybe you're happy and they don't like that. It's literally
no, they don't like that. They don't.
It's literally that insane. It really is. So yeah, basically a closed series circuit is fitting for their closed fragile mind. This is so now we'll sort of demonstrate that if we go to the next circuit there.
Okay, so we're going to go to the next one. Let's see how this works. Mask circuit 3. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so we still have the same descriptions in there, but it looks a little bit different. Okay, tell us about it.
You bet. So now you can see that, compatible false narrative information has been yanked out. So maybe someone gave them a bit of criticism, and that wasn't compatible information. And so what's going to have to happen is that fact, they're either going to have to deny it, that no, they did not make a mistake, you're mistaken, which, that's two birds with one stone. That's projection right there. Or they have to figure out who to blame. Okay, that person got, the car's totaled, but it wasn't my fault that the car's totaled. So I have some notes here, and on the notes, it's systems simply work as designed and not simply as intended. No one would really want to have a fragile ego because that's not what they want. Like you want to be happy all the time. You don't want to say, yeah, I want to make it really easy for me to be just completely miserable. That's not that's just not how it works.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing is, this is designed in a terrible way, and intend for their ultimate high to always feel good, but it's all it's all just made up. It's garbage, and it's not reality. It's delusions. It's a bunch of delusions, and it's not even good delusions. It's stuff that's like can be easily like false. Like it's just So it's it's
Well,
very
they're not the smartest people. I know they think they are, and they're not geniuses. They just have a few tricks up their sleeve. There's only a half a dozen or so that I was able to identify. They're not, no, they're not smart people. And the ones that are even slightly smart definitely are not wise. So go ahead.
Oh, exactly. Well, and it's true. I mean, the thing is they found they found their mask of perfection. They made their little mask of perfection because they it makes them feel good. But like any addiction, it starts out um it starts out to get that high, but then eventually that addiction becomes just simply trying to numb the pain.
That
And
makes sense.
so and so what happens is this right here is their little mental addiction basically is what this comes down to. And yeah, the chain is no stronger than its weakest link. So any of the information that can be removed, or if their false self is challenged or their false narrative is challenged, they're going to have to fight with all the fear and rage they have to basically uh, resolve their identity crisis and basically make things right.
Hmm.
Which that's that's where you get your narcissistic rage and all that crazy stuff,
Hmm.
because it's the thing is, and they'll go on the offensive. Like this is they do not they're like, to them this is their everything. This really is, this is, they'll kill people over this.
Yes, they will. Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at the diagram here, and the next tier above it is irrational thought process, and that reminds me of about 100% of the social justice warriors today. And I won't go into those, where the memes of they contradict each other and the cognitive dissonance. It's completely irrational, but if you try to tell them about it, it breaks the circuit, and then you get a meltdown. It's scary how many people that I actually know that that exhibit this. It's nuts. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah. Anyway, irrational thought process looks like the next one that don't want to mess with without breaking the chain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, as much as we would like to try and make them more rational, because that is a thing you can do, and that would be saying, oh no, look, biases, here's some logical fallacies that people fall for,
Hmm.
right? But if you say that they're, fallible and not infallible, that's going against their false self. That's going against their false narrative that they're this perfect God. And yeah, you're going to pay the price for that, for your
Sure,
insolence.
sure will. Yeah, and they've got these big blind spots. That's how they can keep that irrational thought process up. You can't look at the whole picture. It's distorted to not to use that kind of thought process. It's
Oh
scary,
yeah,
scary stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it is. And so yeah, we're delving right into their mind. This is how their mind works. This is how their criminal mind works.
It's exactly how the criminal mind works, and it's laid out so well that, like, and I recognize this. I wish I'd been able to do this, but you came along and did it for us all, and this is exactly. And it actually kind of increases my list of narcissists that I didn't have on that list, but this pretty much sums it up. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, and don't worry, with it, like maybe we'll limit that list down again as we delve into it, and you can start going, okay, no, they don't quite meet the criteria here, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
mean
okay.
that.
I already want
Yeah.
no contact with all the toxic people anyway that I
Oh,
could.
exactly, right.
No,
That
no.
was my next
Once
thing.
you burn me, I'm like, nah. I'm not doing that again. No.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, guys, listen to Tier on this one, because like if someone's toxic, they're toxic. Okay, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like
They don't have to
it.
be a
Yeah.
full-fledged narcissist or a psychopath. It's just be really destructive. I've met those two that, hell, if they have 6 out of the 10 characteristic traits, just why would you bother with them anyway? I'm just glad
Agreed.
people are waking up to this. So anyway. Good.
Awesome. No, this is great. Okay, so now that we've kind of looked at it, how this failed system of theirs, this very fragile system,
Mhm.
works, we can start delving into the details of it. So the next picture that we'll look at is the Mask of Perfection V3. I had a few different versions as I slowly made it
Oh,
more and more.
I have to make this bigger so I can see this. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh my God. Okay, Connor, what have you done here? This, are we going to be able to understand this? Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. Get ready. So we're
okay,
gonna.
so I see why we blew through the first. There, I thought, oh, we're going to make 30 minutes. Should be no problem. We might be. Okay. All right. So start. I guess start at the top. Is that okay? I mean, let's.
Yes, yes. We're gonna start at the top. I've zoomed enough where it covers the first part and the false self and the false narrative. So I have the first chunk of it up and running.
Okay.
So
Okay, that's what I'm looking at now too. Okay, go ahead.
perfect. Perfect. So yeah, so what does the Mask of Perfection allow them? Well, it allows them to believe anything they want to believe about themselves. In this case, the Mask of Perfection is to allow them to believe they are perfect. That's the example I'm using. I am perfect because I have my Mask of Perfection. And what the hell does that mean? And this this is where it comes down to. They have a false self. So their false self is a set of delusional beliefs that they believe this is who they are, and it's the biggest lie they live by. They really do want to believe that they are always right, always desired, always owed everything, always in control, always justified, and ultimately always free of negative consequences. Like it's like you can't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. I get the final say in everything. It's just it is absolutely insane. And because and the reason that they have this extreme overcorrection is they actually hate themselves. They actually hate their real flawed self. That's why they invented their false self.
I got
And
you.
we'll get
I
into that
was I
later.
was thinking while you're telling us that, I was like, well, that doesn't sound that bad. I wonder how I can figure that out how to be like that. But that's we don't want to do that. I got you. I got you. Okay. I understand. It's like because they really hate themselves. I don't think
Yeah.
they do though. I don't think. I mean, this just maybe diverting from your message, but I don't think they really do hate themselves. I
Yeah.
just think
Well,
that and it wouldn't even matter anyway. But the false self is definitely false. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
no,
I mean,
no
we'll
one
go
can be as
into
perfect
it.
as they
We'll
think
go
they
into
are. So,
it. It's all good, man. No, we'll get into it. So the next thing we're going to look at is their false narrative. And the reason we're going to look at the false narrative next is it's an extension of the false self. So they have their false self where they're this sort of great, desirable, ultimate God being thing, but they actually also have like a story with that because they can't always say that they're this person in control. So what can they do? They can say that they're either the hero or the victim, but they can always say, "Oh wait, but I'm never the villain." And so that false narrative is just kind of an extra sort of fail safe that they have to make sure their false self is consistent. And because otherwise it's like how can you always be in control? Because there are clearly moments in your life where you're not going to be in control, especially if you're doing bad shit, and then it's the consequences of your actions catch up to you.
exactly.
So I mean, if we start looking down, we start moving down the chart here, we can see where the false self connects to the false narrative. And in between there, I said this entire model exposes their circular chain of reasoning. And again, it's a series circuit. It just goes around and around and around. And it's more complex than I'm perfect because I'm perfect, but it's just as fallacious.
Uh-huh.
And that's again logical fallacy. It's bad reasoning. Yeah, they have lots of logic in there, but it's all garbage. It's garbage. It's literal garbage.
Hmm. It
So
is.
yeah, so now we'll move down to another thing. So we'll move down to the ego supply and fuel here. And I mean this one's pretty simple. the false self and also the false narrative, but that's going to feed into each other. Basically, the supply is about confirmation bias. It's a lot of confirmation bias. It needs constant reassurance that these beliefs are true and totally not unrealistic, and it never ends. They always need more confirmation that confirms that their delusions are real. And anything that contradicts these delusions is going to injure them. This is going to set them back because they want to believe this so badly, and anyone who basically is going to tell them no in whatever way, and it doesn't have to be direct. It can be because someone just existing is conflicting with their perfection ideas, with their mask of perfection, and just because of that, just someone being happy can
Or
cause them feel injured.
just being transparent. I noticed that, and I'm not always the most couth person around. That's okay. I can be abrasive, but even when not being abrasive and being transparent, because you want to be honest, because you don't have to remember what you said. Just be honest as much as you can. Nobody's 100%. We don't want to be take it to a ridiculous extreme, but just being transparent and real. Just your presence bugs them. That's crazy, and that is something that I hadn't considered until you brought it up. And I'm thinking, yeah, just you being transparent or happy, it bothers them. It doesn't feed their ego supply.
Yeah, and that's another thing because you being happy without them, that basically that like how can you be happy? They are the best thing to have ever happened on this universe. You're just happy without them. That just it doesn't make sense. You
It
must be
doesn't. And then when they're giving you the silent treatment and smearing your name everywhere and gaslighting the hell out of you, and they're not, and they just can't understand why you don't think they're the best thing that ever happened since sliced bread. They just can't understand it. They are a god or goddess, in my case, and they just can't understand. You know what? What's funny about that? It's actually hilarious now, but at some point in time, I made a decision. This is a personal, little bit of insight. Try not to get too personal on the channel, but I was just going to be happy no matter what. And the happier I got, and the more successful I got, the more pissed off this one got. And I mean, and the worse the treatment, it got really bad. So yeah, they don't want you to be happy or transparent. So, irrational thought process.
yes, you bet. So yeah, like that's so perfect. Oh God, you summed it up so perfectly, Tier. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I've been through this more than once. I'm a slow learner.
No, no, trust me, they're really quite deceptive. It's hard to figure this stuff out. But yeah, so if we go to a rational thought process, this is all about them deluding themselves to believe what they want to believe is true. And this is just like you said, the cherry picking. They get information and they're going to reject contradictory information. It has to align with their false narrative, which is them and being this amazing person, and they'll accept anything that is compatible with it. Anything that's rejected, if you look to the right,
I see it.
there is a projection. And so you have an arrow going to projection saying rejected info. And then you have an arrow coming back saying distorted info. So
Right.
that gives you an idea of what they're going to do to whatever info contradicts it. So
Well, you know what? This brings up a point that I'd like to make. And you spelled it out perfectly. But the reason why they can convince you is because they're convinced themselves, and being around one can just how they cherry pick this information or the data. They can cherry pick all the good qualities and assign those to themselves, and all the bad qualities to you. And they're so convinced that you actually believe it too. Crazy stuff. Okay. Reject
yeah,
contradiction. Okay. Reject and accept. Oh my God. Keep going.
yeah, man. Yeah, like you're nailing it. So yeah, basically another thing is the false narrative of theirs does rely on their rational thought process. And so this irrational thought process actually links back to their false narrative, because that's irrational to say that they're always the hero or the victim or the villain. That's completely irrational. Like just to decide that now I am always the hero or the victim, but never the villain. Like
Mm.
what? That's crazy. And so
Mhm.
so so the thing is, a rational person wouldn't be able to do this. So a person has to remain irrational to keep this crap alive, and that's why they never grow up, because they have to remain irrational. And so that's why we, like, the good people will grow up. We accept our flaws, and we,
Right.
you know, we work on them. We don't just pretend them away. That's the big difference there.
Right.
So when we look at this here with projection, just like I said earlier, if rejected info can't be ignored, it has to be distorted. And then if it has to be distorted, usually it's going to be, okay, well, who needs to be blamed? I can't be blamed. You know, I'm the hero or something. But somehow they are still blamed, and they call themselves the victim, and they shouldn't be blamed anyway. They're the victim, don't you know? So
Oh God, and that gets so old too. I suffer through these decades of that goddamn nonsense. It gets old, and then you try to do it right, do it better and better, and right, trying to make things, you know, as you're finally redline and doing as best as you can do, and they're still blaming you. It's, man, that is exhausting, absolutely exhausting stuff. I don't know why we put up with these. We need to get rid of these narcissists. I don't know what we're gonna do, but they need to go somewhere.
yeah, I
At a
agree.
gas car, maybe just round them all up and put them
We'll tell them a free ego supply.
Yeah, tell them this is where all the perfect people go. Bye. God. Anyway, yeah, I've been through this, but I've never had it spelled out like that. That's why my jaw just drops when you're telling me this. I'm like, oh man, I wish it. That's why. If you know what, this should be a college course. This should be. Yeah, okay. Sorry, rejected info and distorted info. That's where you were, I think, right? In
Yep,
the
you bet. Yeah. So what happens is just like we said earlier, it's going to lead to, usually they're going to accuse the scapegoat of whatever info that makes them look bad, or doesn't, you know, follow their false narrative of them being some great god. And so it's going to be the scapegoat that gets all the bad qualities. And then, yeah, projection is the closest thing you're going to get to a confession from them. When they're saying the scapegoat has done all these horrible things, no, chances are it's them.
chances. It's 100% chance. There's no chance.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's crazy. It's crazy how accurate it is, because it's like, wow, where did that come from? And it's like, you know what? Start considering projection as the very first suspect, and you'll be surprised at how often it's right. It really is. It's
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. It is, you know, and you can see that look even when they're not projecting exactly toward you verbally. You know, they're thinking it the whole time. And you know they are, but you can't even prove that. So that's kind of even a gaslight there as well. You know, they live in their own world, so you don't, you know, it's hard to break in and find out. You wouldn't want to break that circuit.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. Trying to do trying to dip your toes in the water, just testing the waters. That ripples enough to them to cause a tsunami for them, right? And
It does. Yeah, you either put up with it, or yeah, they're going to destroy you for that. They will. They'll try to destroy you for it. They
yeah,
will.
now that
Well, you've poked a hole in their universe. It's bad news for them when you start telling people, hey, you know what? You really ain't all that great looking, gal. I'm sorry you hit the wall 10, 20 years ago. Oh, they don't like that. You know,
Woo!
some more acne medication. You need to get rid of that. I don't know what your problem is. You got a neck longer. What, I heard something funny the other day. You got a neck longer than a CVS receipt or something. Anyway. Anyway, but yeah, you can't even joke with them about, you know, things like, you know, my God, I know I'm not perfect. Well, we won't go there right now though. Anyway, so all right, so projection, rejection, distorted info. What's the compatible information? What's the
You
one
bet. So let's scroll all the way down to the bottom here.
okay.
And now, if we'll just take a quick look, because I'm gonna quickly cover how the little loop works here. Basically, their false narrative acts as an inner voice of reason. Like, really, their false narrative, like, it basically gets rid of their conscience. They say their conscience is basically just doubts, and they want doubts, because those doubts are going to poke holes in their universe.
Mm-hmm.
And so they basically will mute their conscience, they destroy their conscience, and they basically replace it with their false narrative of, hey, I'm always the hero or the victim, but never the villain. That becomes their conscience. Like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. Anything you do, oh, I'm going to steal this candy bar. Okay, I can because I'm the hero. Like, what? What? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, this is like some Silence of the Lambs shit here, man. This is exactly the way they act. And you see how people can turn from a narcissist into a full-blown psychopath when they get in this loop. This loop is all in their head, every bit of this, every single bit of it. Blind loyalty, attention, reactions. They love the reactions, good or bad.
Yeah.
Worship. Don't worship the ground you walk on. Oh, yes. Been through that, done that. Sorry. Okay, so this compatible information, it looks like it's the end of the chart, but you're going to go back through and go take us through the chart again about how it works. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I'll just quickly briefly touch on the compatible FN information, just like you did there.
Okay.
Basically, yeah, they're compatible false narrative information. They need other people to give them all this wonderful stuff, especially time. They really need your time. They are time vampires. They're time and energy vampires, and they're emotional vampires, and they're soul destroying demonic vampires. They're vampires.
You're right. You know what? I can't believe that Mighty even could see herself in the mirror. I tell you, I wonder. You know what? Come to think of it, we didn't do garlic in the house then either. There was not a crucifix. Okay, now I understand. She really is. She get lost in the bathroom. I was like, what the? Okay, there.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
We can laugh now, buddy. No, we can laugh now because it was no fun then. It was like, oh my god, that stuff was. See, folks, you can recover from these people. You can get out of their sphere of influence into no contact or at least low contact. And nobody wants to hang around with the Silence of the Lambs guy. Good Lord. I think I was sleeping with it. Anyway, go ahead. And not and not even often. There's no upside to these people. I mean, there really is no upside. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and we're just getting started too. That's the beauty of it. Like,
okay, so I stopped you again. So from others, and then
yeah. So basically, yeah, I covered that, and yeah, they need without other people giving them their basically their fuel. They will become disillusioned, and they'll be exposed to themselves of what they really are, which is basically a loser. Like
sounds
that's
like a fucking
really.
drag, man. Oh, me again. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Well, I mean, that's the
we don't
thing.
like you. Take a look. Oh, that's right. You can't see yourself in the mirror. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, and it's true, and so that's actually why solitary confinement is actually one of the most effective punishment measures for criminals, because for prisoners, because what happens is when you put a narcissist in solitary confinement, no one else is telling you how fucking great you are anymore.
Wow, that's got to be a total drag. Oh man.
And so that's what smartens them up. Now it doesn't cure them, but it makes them fear, and they have enough fear to not be such an asshole.
Should have locked her in the basement. Now I understand. Yeah, that's not behavior. I wouldn't do that. We don't even have.
Oh, fuck. Oh god. And that's the problem, right? That's like the level you have to go to with these monsters. They really
Creeps. They're creepy is what they are, dude. They're absolute creeps. Creepy people who do creepy, weird things, and it takes you a really long time to figure out. It's almost too late.
Yeah, and they do it on purpose. I guarantee, like this stuff is like they practiced all their lives to
No, don't tell me that this is someone was abused in childhood. The worst ones I knew were little bitch brats that got everything that they wanted. No one ever touched, laid a hand on, or made them sit in the corner or be responsible for anything.
damn
Yeah, the
straight.
ones that I knew were they're just dreadful, dreadful people. Ugh.
Yeah, and it's true. And the thing is, I mean, there are people that are abused. And then could you imagine some asshole saying, "Oh, you might become like a bully because you've been bullied?" Like, fuck
That
off.
is absolute bullshit. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm thinking back, going, okay, fly. No, they do it by choice. They do it by choice.
Yeah, and things. I mean, it's
Abuse,
such.
abuse too. It's like letting them off the hook for their crappy behavior. Like, no, we're not doing. I'm not doing that anymore. No
Yeah,
ways.
damn
So,
straight, man. I mean, I was so happy to find like your YouTube channel, because like man, when I was researching stuff, and I still had like I mean, every time I found answers, I had more questions, and that's actually a really good thing when you want to like really figure out the truth on things. You need a lot more questions, and you need more answers, and you keep doing it. And so when I found your channel, you really like had just your life experience and stuff, man. It really was like, holy shit, like oh my god, yes, this is, it's like there's a person here that is getting it. And like, yeah, there's more and more people now on YouTube doing
more.
it.
There's a lot. I'm glad. I think it really is a
Yeah.
social and societal issue, and so many people because it's forget about the overt ones. It's the covert, like this diagram, the diagrams that you're putting out here for us. You don't know that you're even going through this till it's almost too late. And then if somebody else is going through it, they don't even know they're going. There's been kind of like a mass awakening, and I think that's why there's the big upheavals in society right now too. Besides the standard people that are pushing those kinds of agendas, because people are falling into it because they're acting like this. You can't blame the media 100%. Those people are doing it on their own too, So
That's right. That's right. I
yeah,
mean, and that's another thing. They never want to be held accountable. That's actually the big thing about their false self.
I'm
Their false.
burning your shit down because my racism. It's like, wait a minute, this guy didn't do anything to you. He happens to be a black shop owner. You burn all of his stuff down. You
It's
got
true.
to pull your head out of your ass at some point in time and stop doing this. Yeah, people get mistreated all the time. You're no different. But apparently some of them think they are, and they can get away with these things. Oh, this is terrible, terrible. Yeah, I just see a lot of it. Anyway, I keep stopping you. So we're in the compatible FN information, but I keep stopping you. Time, I think, is where you were last time.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, don't worry. I'm pretty much done talking about that stuff. Like it, like we're like Tyr, like you're literally saying things that are just like it's so perfect for this
Yeah, but
model. Like
I have the street smarts of this. You have obviously you have the PhD. I don't know how you did this like this. It's very very. It's just put together so well. But I experienced it, and for the longest time I didn't know. So I'm glad that it resonated with you and that it had an impact because apparently it puts you in the position to make something like this. So okay, so the compatible information. Did you say you were done with that at the bottom of this, or
yeah, yeah. So let's just go over how because I want to show you the circular reasoning part of it here.
okay?
So if we scroll back to the top
Gotcha.
and we take a look at the false self, if we look for the red arrow, look at how the red arrow goes to the false narrative, and then from the false narrative, look at how the red arrow goes down, way, way down, all the way into compatible false narrative information.
Right.
And that actually goes all the way back up again because the irrational thought process depends on the compatible false narrative. And then the ego supply depends on the irrational thought process. And then the false self depends on the ego supply.
This is the historical first vicious cycle. This is it. This is the absolute. This is the vicious cycle. If you wanted to go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and there you go. That's your literal chain, your circular chain of reasoning, because the false self is kind of the starting point, but it's also the end point. The false narrative is just a middleman that's there to trick its own brain, to trick its own mind into going, no, it's totally legit. I'm not just making shit up. Like it's
It's
crazy.
this is a spiritual sickness because it's if you're going to be fake and false and phony, then you can't get to anything that's the truth, and therefore you can't have anything that's really happy or transparent at all. Yeah,
Man,
they
I can't
found
wait to show you the next diagrams.
yeah, this diagram shows that this is their world. This is their universe.
It's true, and that's the thing. It's because they have such a massive ego. That's why it's so easy to break their chain and give them an identity crisis because they have such a massive ego. But the thing is, it's all fragile. It's
Yeah, but you know
complete.
what we know we forgot this whole time? We forgot just the actual fact is that we're better than them. I mean, I hate to say that, but I mean, I mean, I'm like no contact with them, but I just want to say, I'm better than you, but and
Damn
that's right,
straight. Damn
and
straight. You know what?
that bugs
There's
them. Yes,
And you know what? And you know what? There's a guy I really like on Quora.
I
Nick Horton is his name, and he has the most beautiful one-liner. He says, "They didn't win anything. I'm the prize, and they can't have me anymore."
Yeah, that's kind of it. I remember one of them was giving me a hard time. I don't recall the exact conversation, but the narcissist accused me. Here you go with the projection. He goes, "Well, you just think you're." Actually, it was a she. She said, "You think you're better than everyone," and I said, "No, I just think I'm better than you."
Ah, yes.
Yeah, there you go. That was like a total. That was like the Big Bang backwards where the entire place collapsed. They can't even get a tear out. They're so pissed at that time. Oh my
Oh
god.
my God.
Yeah,
It's true. It's crazy. It's crazy how they're all the same way. They all have this fucking mask of perfection, and it's always the same shit. All of them. Like, yes,
it's
they have a
exactly the
different.
same. And you know exactly how. If you've dealt with one, you can deal with another. And once you learn it, and it's so stupid easy, and you can't believe that you didn't do that before because you kept trying to deal with them on an honest level.
That's the
And
problem.
it kept screwing up their universe, and you have to realize, okay, you can't get through to this person. And then once you start to play their game, it's extremely easy to beat them. I mean, extremely easy. All you got to do is, if you want something, tell them you don't want it. It's that stupid. And
Yeah.
they'll. I tried that. It was like, you know what? Everything I say is just ends up being opposite. Man, I want this. Oh, okay. Well, you won't get that. You know. I
Yeah.
told one of them, I
They
was like,
try to purposely
yeah, on
do
the breakup,
everything
I
in
was like, you can't live without my money. I told the one on the breakup until he's, well, I'll show you I can. I
Good.
go, okay, so there you go. My bank account stays fat without you. Good, good, good. All right. Well, is that let's get to we have a few other diagrams in here, but it looks like you have 12 in total. If this were up to me, I would probably wrap it up at the mask of perfection and then go into the egopathy on another one, if that would be okay with you. Maybe we could break this up so that we
Yeah,
don't.
I'm I'm
There's so
totally
much
fine with that.
information. I don't want to cram it down.
You covered it so beautifully. I think people are going to be hooked. I think they're going to have to tune into the next one.
Well, I
Yeah.
think they should. You got a lot of compliments on the first, our other discussion. So, yeah, this is, if you've been through it, this will make complete sense. And if you haven't been through it, this lets you know what we've been dealing with. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, don't break that circuit. Just go no contact if you can. Boy, they are vindictive. They will look for ways to destroy you so that you don't collapse their world. Oh man, good job. I am perfect because mask of perfection. I know they're jokes. They're walking jokes, is what they are.
It's true, and that's the thing, right? Doesn't it sound so crazy when you talk about it out loud, right? And that's the conversation they never had when they were a little kid, saying, "Hey, if you're thinking this, do you see how crazy that sounds? Do you see how insane that sounds?"
And then no one was there, I guess, to tell them. Actually, that's crap. We're giving them a reason, giving them an out. I know
I know.
plenty of people that have been exposed to plenty of decent people who are transparent, people that make mistakes, human beings, and these people they don't want to change. This
Oh
works.
no, no, they don't. They do
It
not
works
want
for them
to
in this day and age. It's working for them, and they're doing just fine with it. Although they do, I do think that there is quite a bit of suffering that goes on in their universe because you can't have true happiness if you're going to be like this. There's no
Oh
way.
God, no, no. It's all fake. It's all a gar.
The
It's
problem is, though, is they make everybody else miserable around them. You want to go be miserable by yourself? Fine, you just go do that by yourself. But they have to be this parasitic uh, influence on everybody around them. That's the issue.
That's right. And that to me, that's the character disturbance. The fact is they're not neurotic because they don't suffer from their personality. Other people suffer from their personality, and that's character disturbance. That's like that's them. That's their they don't, and I don't call it a personality disorder. I call it a moral disorder. Like
Okay.
they don't
No,
they
that's
don't
fine. It is. It's a complete moral disorder, and they don't have good personalities anyway, except for a minute or two when they can get you. When they're mirroring you, trying to tell you everything that you've ever wanted to hear. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I've been there.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. They show you a persona, but that's not their actual personality. Their personality builds something for you for bait to bait you and go, wow, yeah, this must be a good person to hang out with. No, they're monsters.
No, these people are bad people. They really are, and it is on purpose. Don't forget that. They can be narcissists without ever being abused as children, and many of them are. And B, it's on purpose. This is all a complete choice. No rest for the wicked, and no quarter. I'm not. No,
Damn
I
straight.
get
No
tired of
mercy.
hearing that. Well, maybe they weren't held enough as an infant, or blah blah blah. I'm like,
Oh, fuck's
I know people that have had families that were so dysfunctional. I think his dad shot at him a couple of times, and he's not a narcissist. I mean, my God, people, talk about just always trying to give a. I think that's our nature. I know I did it. Well, it must be something I did. It must be something that happened. No,
yeah.
they do it on purpose because it works and they like it. Very
Yes,
simple.
and that's exactly it, man. I mean, trust me, when we get into these diagrams, man, you're gonna be, we're like the stuff you're saying, man. It's already hinting at future diagrams.
Oh, good. Well, I told you I've been there, done that. So you're just putting this down as in a map fashion so that we can see it. And anyhow, I really do appreciate you stopping by to talk with me about this. I think we need to revisit. Maybe you've got. Looks like you've got 8 more. Maybe we could break that in a couple of different meetings as well. And it might be good here if. Do you think you could maybe give us a kind of wrap up on this and let's head toward the end of this one.
At this point, I've shown you guys the basics here. This is the big thing. This is the mask of perfection. Know thy enemy. What happens is this mask of perfection, because this is what it is. It generates a ton of consequences. And what's going to happen is all my other models talks about egopathy, and it all starts from egopathy because this mask of perfection creates a very strong need to go and hunt for the fuel to then figure this out, and they become very predatory, and it all goes into a downward spiral from there. They're locked in, they won't change. It's a bad idea, but they're not aborting, and that we'll talk about that next time.
That sounds like a deal, man. I love having these conversations with you. It's very enlightening, and I think it puts it in a simple perspective for everyone to understand. Very good stuff. So, all right, Connor. Well, look, I'll tell you what. I'm going to sign off with you. Stick around for just a second, and I wanted to say bye to the people that are watching or listening to us today. So anyway, thank you all again for stopping by. And like Connor and I talked about, I think we're going to have a couple more of these. And so I will see you again real soon. Thanks.